10%. We also saw a decrease in the number of youth unemployed, and we currently have a record number for March of youth in employment. But again, the government has made it very, very clear that despite these figures, we know, and the Treasury modelling shows, that unemployment will spike in June at around 10%. But that is why the government has brought into place the Job Keeper payment. Today, we have had over 850,000 businesses signal their intention to claim for the Job Keeper payment. The government is very, very aware that we need to ensure that as many Australians as possible are either kept in employment or are given that connection to their employer. And we are pleased that over 850,000 businesses to date have registered their intention to claim Job Keeper. It is also why, though, we also brought in the COVID-19 supplement, because we do acknowledge that those people who are unable to claim the Job Keeper payment will need to avail themselves to the Job Seeker payment. And that is why we brought in the COVID-19 supplement, in acknowledgement that there will be many, many people who won't necessarily qualify for Job Keeper, but will be able to avail themselves to Job Seeker. But in terms of the figures for today, a rise in unemployment rate from 5.1 to 5.2%, but 5,900 jobs created for the month of March, strong participation at 66%, and we continue to have a record number of Australians in employment. But again, the government is the first to acknowledge that the period does not reflect the impact of COVID-19. But what the Treasury modelling does show is that whilst, yes, unemployment will peak in June at around 10%, Treasury have also been very, very clear. If the government had not implemented the Job Keeper payment, you would have seen unemployment peak much higher, in fact at around 15%. Again, the government has brought in $320 billion to date in terms of its economic response to COVID-19. The Prime Minister has always been clear. This is a health crisis that Australia is facing. It is a health crisis that has had a significant impact on the economy. And that is why the Job Keeper payment was just so important, to ensure that as many Australians as possible are able to either be kept in employment or alternatively have that connection to their employer, so that when we do come out of this crisis, and as we all know, we will come out of this crisis, as many businesses as possible are able to get up and running as quickly as possible with their workforce intact. Any questions?
On Job Keeper, there are reports that some employers are advising workers to give back some of the $1,500 Job Keeper payment. Is there a penalty for employers who are looking their workers on?
Let us make this very, very clear. As an employer, if you qualify for Job Keeper, you must, and I underline must, pass on the full $1,500 benefit to the employee.
And Treasury have recently speaking about today's jobless numbers showing a rise.